Mahesh Pindra.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, I wish to speak on this bill on behalf of New Zealand First. We need to make all facilitation payment illegal, as they're all small bribes. Now, it was very disheartening and very disappointing to hear the minister trying to justify small facilitation payments. Whether small or big, a bribe is a bribe. And that's what we need to address, because what is at stake is our reputation as a clean, transparent country. We have a reputation of businesses doing business above board, without bribery and without those facilitation payments. Now, we need to also work on the particularly the facilitation payment side of it. And it's not a good sign when the minister herself tries to justify small facilitation payments. Well, during this Saudi sheep debacle, where $11.5 million of taxpayers' money were paid, we called it a bribe. Well, we got into trouble for that, but we still called it a bribe, and that's what it was, a bribe. There's no such thing as a harmless bribe, Mr. Chair. Whether you call it a bribe, you call it a facilitation payment, whether you call it speed money in some countries, whether you call it a bakshish or whether you call it a hafta. There are various names for it, but it's the same thing. It's a bribe. So we must also support the human trafficking part of it, because that has got more angles to it. It has got the human rights issue angle, and it's got the corruption angle. And also it's a punishable offense in most countries, including ours. So coming back to the money laundering part of it, Mr. Chair, now we suggest that the high value goods and services, such as the lawyers, professionals and businesses dealing with the real estate, also should come in the purview of this bill. And any wrongdoing in that area should also be covered in the anti-corruption and organized crime and anti-corruption bill. So we have had a large number of submissions during our select committee hearings, Mr. Chair, and I would like to quote one of them. In the words of one of them, it was, "Facilitation payments are bribes, and by failing to address them, we are enshrining bribery in New Zealand law." Now, Mr. Chair, that actually explains the whole thing in just two sentences. Which one? Okay. Now, coming back to the facilitation payment, Mr. Chair. Now, facilitation payment, when that was made, it was justified as facilitation payment, whereas it was actually a bribe. Now, had this, the SOP that David Clinton has put in, we are going to support that because it addresses that particular issue. Now, New Zealand first supports that the notion that it should be illegal for New Zealand companies to make facilitation payments overseas. Facilitation payments or bribes, in simple facilitation payments are bribes in simple no-nonsense language of New Zealanders. The United Nations Convention Against Corruption prohibits facilitation payments, and OECD has called for a prohibition on facilitation payments. The United Kingdom have prohibited them, and Australia is looking to do the same. So we suggest that we should also be getting rid of this lacuna in law, this little excuse of small facilitation payments. What is small for a National Party funder could be a big fortune for some of us. So who draws that line? What is small? What is big? I think you need to be careful, Mr. Whatever. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
David Seymour.